All right, we are in lesson 66 now, multiples of fractions. Last time we were talking about multiples of unit fractions. So we are just stepping it up one little bit to do just any fraction, multiples of any fraction. So when we are talking about multiples, we're talking about multiplying, right? So let's look at the chart they have here for us. So we have the fraction of 2/5, and the question technically says to write the next 4 multiples. We're just looking at this chart to give us a clue on how they get the multiples of those fractions. So just like when we were doing the unit fractions, 1 times 2/5 is just 1 2/5, right? And it would just plain be 2/5. So if we have 2 times 2/5, that's 2/5 plus 2/5, 2 times. And you only remember when you're adding fractions, you only add the numerators. So we have 4/5. 3 times 2/5, 2/5 plus 2/5 plus 2/5 would be the same as 6/5, only adding the numerators, 2, 4, 6, 6/5. So if you notice, the bottom number, the denominator stays the same, and we are using multiples of 2 to fill in the numerator, right? So if you were to make a list of all the multiples of 2, over here, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, that's as far as I'm gonna go, right? And you would put fifths under all of them. I'm not gonna do that right now. But so the multiple first would be 2/5, the next multiple 4/5, 6/5, 8/5, 10/5, 12/5, 14/5. Really, you're counting by 2/5. Okay, so let's look. So the next 4 multiples of 2/5 are 4/5, 6/5, 8/5, 10/5. All right. So that would be, right, 3 and 2/5 as the product, remember, multiply, of a whole number and a unit fraction. So if we have 3 times 2/5, when we multiply a fraction times a whole number, we are only multiplying the numerator and leaving the denominator the same. And you can see why we do that in this chart up here. You do not want to multiply the denominator. If you were cooking something and you wanted to triple the recipe and it said to put a 1/2 cup of flour in, you're gonna do 1/2 plus 1/2 plus 1/2 if you tripled the recipe, right? So that's 3 halves. Nothing changes in the denominator. That's our unit. You don't want to change that. So when we multiply, so that's 3 times 1/2, 3 halves. So you only multiply the numerator times the whole number. All right, so let's look at what they say. They're just jumping it. That's cool. On a number line, 2/5, 4/5, 6/5, great. All right, they're just showing you what all these equal. All right, so 3 times 2/5 is the same as saying 6 times 1/5. Okay, fine. All right, let me get my mouse and move this up. And sorry, I'm gonna have to clear my drawings. They're so pretty. And let's go up here. So we are going to find the next multiples of the fraction 3/4, the next 4 multiples. So if I go over here, I'm gonna get something other than purple. How about turquoise? If I go over here and pick and write down the multiples, remember we are only changing the numerator, the top number. So I'm gonna write down the multiples of 3. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18. I don't even need to go that far because it says only 4 multiples. So here's the one that is 3/4. I'm only gonna write a 4ths underneath that one. 3/4, that's the original number. The multiples are 6/4, 9/4, 12/4, 15/4, 18/4. So writing them in. Ooh, that's a tiny little line. Can I blow it up? Oh my gosh. 6/4, it's so hard to write with this thing. And the next one would be 9/4, 12/4, and 15/4. No need to reduce it right now. Just leave it the way it is. We're going to talk about reducing and simple form fractions in another lesson this week or next week. All right. I think you can figure out number 2, right? The product of a whole number as a unit fraction? Oh, okay. So, right, as the product of a whole number and a unit fraction. So 3 3/8, 3 times 3/8 is the same as multiplying what times 1/8, right? A unit fraction. Okay, there's a beautiful 8. So 3/8, counting by threes, 3, 6, 9, that's 3 3/8, right? 9, 3, 6, 3/8, 6/8, 9/8. So here's my little number line, 3/8, 6/8, 9/8. So what unit are we talking about? We're talking about the denominator eighths, right? So 1/8, how many times what's the numerator? How many times do you have to jump 1/8 to get as far as you get when you jump 3 3/8? All right, and it's on the number line, which is handy dandy. So that is 9 times, right? Whatever the numerator is. So 9 times 1/8 is the same as 3 times 3/8. And look at, this is not a coincidence. If you multiply the whole number times the numerator, you're gonna get how many times you have to jump by that unit fraction. So let's do that on this side. 4 2/3, 2/3, 2/3, 2/3, 2/3 is the same as, multiply the numerator and the whole number. 4 times 2 is 8. 8 times 1/3 jumps. All right, hopefully that makes sense. I'm gonna leave you to do the second half of the page by yourself. So I will be looking at that second half of the page. I do want to do one of the word problems with you first. So Jessica is making 2 loaves of banana bread. She needs 3/4 cup sugar for each loaf. Her measuring cup only holds 1/4 cups of sugar. Oh no. So how many times will Jessica need to fill the measuring cup in order to get enough sugar for both loaves of bread? Well, the first thing we need to do is, if one loaf takes 3/4 cup, then 2 loaves, here's your first step. I'm going to do it over here. 2 loaves, 2 times 3/4 cup. It's just like we were doing in the last problem right here. 2 times 3/4. So multiplying the whole number and the numerator gives me a 6. Keeping the denominator the same, the denominator the same gives me a 4th. So we have 6/4, right? If we have 1/4 cup, we need 6 of them. Okay, so that's the same as 6 times 1/4. Okay, which means that my question says, how many times will Jessica need to fill the measuring cup in order to get enough sugar for both loaves of bread? She needs to fill it 6 times. All right, I think you can do the other one. All right. Stop doing that and